told your friend you're not okay.
As soon as the official report was released and the world learned that Jungkook was now officially the highest-paid artist worldwide, the global mood shifted instantly. It wasn't just trending, it wasn't just hype, it was like a massive jolt that rippled across countries, forcing everyone to focus on a phenomenon that could no longer be ignored. For the first time since the era of global legends, a name from South Korea transcended geographic boundaries, industries, and even cultural perceptions. Jungkook was shifting standards that had been held by Western musicians for decades, and the world witnessed the dawn of a new era. International media outlets scrambled. Articles, editorials, and analytical videos emerged from every country, all with a single, unmistakable refrain: how can a young man who hasn't even completed his military service achieve such enormous success? Time ran an in-depth report titled, The Rise of Jungkook, How One Man Rewrote Global Stardom, an official recognition that Jungkook's career was no longer just a fandom phenomenon, but a crucial study of modern popular culture. Netflix, which had been cautious in selecting figures for biographical projects, immediately contacted Big Hit with a question that set the entertainment industry on fire: is it time for Jungkook's story to be told in a global documentary? In the digital world, the surge in activity felt like a hurricane. Google recorded a 700% increase in searches for Jungkook in a matter of hours. TikTok reported over 2 billion views under the hashtag #JungkookNo1. It wasn't just going viral, it was a surge that only happens when the world agrees that a moment is worthy of being recorded in history. And the global reaction was real. In South Korea, giant screens in Gangnam displayed Jungkook's face illuminated with purple light, lighting up the sky as if the entire city were celebrating the victory of a son of the nation. In London, crowds of armies filled Piccadilly Circus holding banners reading, "From Busan to the World." In Central Park, New York, a group of Korean students lit candles as a symbol of pride and inspiration. The Middle East, Europe, Southeast Asia, all contributed to this wave of reaction. Indonesia was no exception. From events in shopping malls, to charity projects in Jungkook's name, to tribute videos filling social media feeds. All of this demonstrated that Jungkook's victory was more than just an individual record. It was a collective moment, a triumph for ARMY, and clear evidence that a voice once considered small is now shaking the world. Following the announcement, music and industry experts began examining the phenomenon they dubbed the rise of Jungkook. They described Jungkook as an artist with a complete package: powerful, stable vocals, world-class dancing skills, incredible stage presence, and an emotional expression capable of connecting millions with just a single note or a glance. International journalists called him the most complete artist of the modern era. There was no longer any debate about whether he was an idol or an artist. Jungkook was now seen as the new standard in the global entertainment industry. What further piqued the world's interest were comments from prominent figures. A renowned Hollywood director said, "Jungkook has the aura of a true movie star. If he entered our industry, he would become an icon in a matter of months." A legendary British musician added, "There aren't many young artists as consistent as him. Every performance feels like the last performance of his life." Even the co-founder of the world's largest streaming platform wrote, "Our data shows one thing: Jungkook isn't a trend. He's the gravity of the music industry." But amidst all the praise and the frenzy of cameras, Jungkook did something that silenced the world in the most serene way possible. While news of his win was flooding the internet, he was actually serving his mandatory military service. Not on stage, not in a luxury hotel, not in a recording studio. Just a young soldier in South Korea going about his daily routine like any other. While the media waited for a lengthy statement, he simply wrote on Weverse, "Thank you, Army. I will continue to work hard." That simple sentence made the world fall in love with him all over again. At the peak of his fame, when he could have boasted about anything, he chose humility. That moment brought back memories for many fans of Jungkook's long journey. From a shy, rarely spoken teenager, to the one who quietly said in an old 2014 interview, "I want to be the best. If I work hard, maybe I can achieve it." Now, a decade later, those words seem like a prophecy that has come true far beyond his imagination. All the relentless practice, the self-doubt, the stressful nights, the journey from Busan kid to global icon. And just as the world began to realize that the Jungkook era had just begun, something bigger was stirring behind the scenes, something even ARMY didn't see coming. Because whenever an artist achieves an impossible feat, the global industry never stands still. They began adjusting course, changing strategies, studying patterns, and wondering, what's Jungkook's next move? The question filled not only social media, but also the boardrooms of executives, recording studios, production houses, and even the giant tech companies that now use Jungkook as a golden reference for understanding changing mass behavior. And interestingly, even though Jungkook is still in the midst of his military service, his influence hasn't diminished in the slightest. In fact, that makes his phenomenon even more difficult to explain. Usually, an era begins when an artist is active on the stage. But Jungkook's era began while he was serving as a soldier, an irony that made the world even more curious, eager to understand how one name could wield such immense power. Cultural analysts began calling this phenomenon a new term, the silent power effect, a silent force that continues to move the world even when its owner says nothing. This is how the second wave of the Jungkook phenomenon began. A wave that no longer speaks about revenue figures, statistics, or records, but about the social and cultural impact his presence has generated. After Jungkook's achievement as the world's highest-earning artist was announced, discussions about Jungkook expanded. It was no longer limited to his music, dance, or visuals. It expanded into new realms, the psychology of fandom, the creative economy, shifts in digital consumption patterns, and even the cultural geopolitics that have brought South Korea back into the global spotlight. At international universities, cultural studies professors began using Jungkook as a leading example in their lectures on global influence. The Jungkook model became a new concept analyzed in academic spaces, how a young man who emerged from idol training could create a cultural wave that spanned generations. Even several institutions researching the character of global leaders began including Jungkook in lists of influential young figures who are able to inspire millions without rhetoric, without propaganda, simply through dedication and hard work. Meanwhile, the entertainment world itself began to experience a major shift after his achievement was announced. Many music production companies in America and Europe began to establish new standards for evaluating artists, standards indirectly inspired by Jungkook's journey. They demand that young artists possess multidimensional qualities, consistent vocals, dancing ability, authenticity in their work, and a character that can move the masses. Foreign journalists even wrote that Jungkook has changed the definition of a modern pop star, breaking away from the old pattern of relying solely on intensive promotion and media hype. And behind all this, the ARMY reaction is the engine that keeps the flame of this era burning. They don't just celebrate Jungkook's victory, but use it as an opportunity to demonstrate how a fandom can become a solid, mature, and empowered global community. In various countries, armies are carrying out social and charitable movements, all as a form of gratitude for the inspiration they receive from Jungkook. In South Korea, an official social organization even recorded a remarkable increase in donations after news of Jungkook's victory was released. In the Philippines, army volunteers helped provide food for hundreds of underprivileged families. In Turkey, fans raised funds for the construction of a children's education center. And in Indonesia, humanitarian actions in Jungkook's name have only increased after his achievements were recognized internationally. But herein lies the most interesting part of this story. The world realizes that we are only at the beginning. Jungkook's victory as the highest-earning artist is only the opening. It wasn't the final chapter, but rather the beginning of something much bigger. Industry observers predicted that when Jungkook left the military and returned to the entertainment world, the third wave of his phenomenon would begin, a wave they dubbed the full-power Jungkook era. A phase where he would return with complete freedom to create, without limitations, without pause, and with the new experiences of a grown man who had undergone a challenging mental and physical journey. One thing was now undeniable. The Jungkook era wasn't just beginning, it was growing, expanding, and poised to change history once again.